about that for a fire intro?
It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
What's poppin',
chilling, man. Ladies and gentlemen, week 2, Top of the Key podcast. Your boy Cool McCain. And you know who you see beside me, Mr. Wire to Wire, the NBA/NFL genius himself.
Not the NBA genius, man. I need to keep catch up as I can NBA. But NFL, yes, I will keep that. I will keep that name.
Fair enough, man. So we normally talk about the rankings, right? When we start off the week, we're gonna skip that this week. So we got a lot of juicy things to talk about.
Tons.
And I would think the first thing that me and you should discuss on the second episode would be Mr. Kyrie Irving.
Oh man, don't we start? It's a walking meme, bro. At this point, like you got to think of it this way, right? He told Cleveland he was going to stay there and then requested a trade. He told Boston that he's going to re-sign and then went and signed with Brooklyn. He said to Brooklyn, he's like, I'm never going to leave my man Kevin Durant behind. And now he's asking for a trade there. Guy just signed a 1-year contract with Brooklyn this offseason because nobody else wanted to sign him to the long-term deal that he wanted. Kyrie is the perfect nickname for Kyrie Irving. And listen, it's great drama. It's always good to have good drama around the All-Star break. Last year it was James Harden. This year it's Kyrie Irving. I don't know if the Brooklyn Nets are going to get bent over again this time. I don't think that they're going to succumb to his trade request. But it's fun to talk about where he would go if they did.
Agreed. So, Gene, where do you think he would go, or possibilities of him to go?
It's a lot. There's a lot. There's teams that would really like to shell out for him. Dallas is one of them. Get him all-star castmate with Luka Doncic. The Lakers are a very popular name, but I just don't think they have the assets to acquire. I'm sure they're going to try. There's a few places he could go. I'll give you one that is a little bit hey, there he is. What's up, Freddie? How you feeling, buddy?
What's up, Gene? What's so cool? How y'all doing?
How you feeling, man?
A rare appearance by Freddie.
I think a real interesting one that nobody's talking about would be the Miami Heat. And I think that they are starving for a point guard, and he's really good friends with Jimmy Butler. So I think that's a possibility, but it's tough with Kyrie. I don't know if Pat Riley would want to deal with that baby. Like, I don't know like how you'd want to deal with him, but just a few takes. Where do you see him going if he gets moved anywhere?
So Freddie, let's hear what Freddie has to say since he's here. Freddie, where do you think Kyrie will go if they do decide to move him?
First off, good evening, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure when I see Gene and I see Cool on the screen. So I just had to hop on here today with you guys.
We appreciate that, sir.
Love the smile.
Yes, sir. So listen,
before you say anything, let me just give you a shout out. I seen you the other night on the Judges Corner podcast, and I don't know what it was. I don't know what's different. I know that running Sports Empire Network is super stressful at times because you're constantly doing things, but you had a different smile to you, man. You had a different glow to you, it was good to see that. Like, it's good to see you on air, happy, smiling, and doing what you love. And you posted that you found your love back for podcasting, because I know you've been doing a ton behind the scenes to help the network grow. So it's good to see that. So let me just start there, because I'm sure we'll go at each other a bunch on the show. So let me just show some love early.
Man,
start out with the love, and then we'll get into the realness.
Appreciate it. It's been a minute, y'all. But we're here. But listen, I heard Gene. Miami. They've been needing that point guard. They've been trying a couple years now to kind of find that position to kind of help the void that they're missing. They brought in a Kyle Lowry, but he really hasn't brought what they really need at that position. But if we're being honest, what does Miami really have to give up? I mean, they're not giving up Bam. They're not giving up Butler. They seem high on Tyler Hero because he seemed like the only guy, to me that, okay, he's the centerpiece of the trade. We talk about the Suns. How much value does Chris Paul have at this point of his stage of his career? Let's not, there's been talks that Phoenix want Chris Paul. They want to start planning for Chris Paul to be gone anyway this postseason. They can't trade DeAndre Ayton because of Ben Simmons, something with his rookie contract. So what does Phoenix really have to be able to move as well? Will they be willing to give up a Mikal Bridges? I'm not sure. To me, y'all already know where I'm going with this. It's just like Gene said on pregame pigskin before, he said it on Wire to Wire. It's all about a storyline, and the NBA is creating a storyline. They want to see Bron and Kyrie back together. I mean, in LA, in Kobe's house, who by the way, Kyrie Irving looked up to. And that's something the NBA don't want to see just for this one reason, because they know if they give LeBron James that man, and that man is committed to basketball, let me add that because that's a big if. I do definitely understand that's a big if. If he's committed to basketball, that could change the dynamic of that Laker team, because we know one thing that they're missing is shooting. Got to have luck, got to stay healthy. I definitely understand that. But if you add Kyrie Irving to that team, they'll be one of the dangerous teams that will be competing with this man to the left of me, Denver Nuggets, in the Western Conference.
I just don't know what type of trade package that you can offer that the Brooklyn Nets would accept. And if you're talking about like the ghost of Russell Westbrook's contract, I know it's expiring, but so is Kyrie's. Like I understand, like you're not really gaining anything by doing that, except the fact that you're getting a worse player.
And I will say, on top of that, Brooklyn has to keep this in mind as well. Whatever deal they get it has to be watered down. To me, because I don't think that you can get the same deal that the Lakers offered them last summer, just because teams are going to look at it. Okay, Kyrie's going to be on there for a few, like 2-3 months. But in the offseason, they can just outright sign him. So to me, if I was the Lakers, would I give up a pick? Yes, I'll give up a draft pick, but I'm not giving up 2. I'm giving up 1, because I do know in a couple months we can sit back and wait, and Russ' contract come off the books, so we can just offer him a contract.
That's true.
So then why would that trade be better than a Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson package?
Is Duncan Robinson that dude though? Because we've seen him. We've been kind of waiting for him to take that jump. I'm just asking.
But he's a shooter to pair around Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant. And the best way to actually pair Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant is to space the floor and put shooters out there.
No, you're most definitely right. Because if you think about it, if you trade Russ to Brooklyn, I would imagine they'll probably cut him, because I can't imagine seeing Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook on the same team. Good God, we said the Lakers can't shoot. Just imagine that situation.
That's a tough backcourt, yeah.
Yeah, but there's also another part of the equation is that Kyrie Irving is trying to get paid. So what team's going to be willing to give him a 4-year, $200 million contract? That's a big question mark as well.
That's a good point.
I don't think anybody is. If I'm being
I got a couple of teams I wanted to talk about. I think most of the teams I'm going to highlight out west, but maybe a dark horse in this could be the Chicago Bulls, maybe the Washington Wizards, both teams that could use, a guy like Kyrie maybe for a run at the playoffs to get into one of those top 6 spots. Teams that look to need, some help at point guard for injury or whatever the reason. And I think we start talking about out west, there's actually quite a few teams that would at least rent him for the rest of the season, right? You look at the Dallas Mavericks. We already talked about it. That's a possibility. I think the LA Clippers could really use someone like Kyrie at the point, someone who can score from there as well, because you have times where their better players don't necessarily show up, as we saw last night. I think also we did talk about Phoenix, but one team who's going to have cap space and has as much capital as Brooklyn would want for him, if they maybe could get him to go ahead and sign, may be the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, but Kyrie's not going there.
I'm not saying he's going there, but I'm just saying
Not
places
to mention,
that
that Danny Ainge
he could possibly go.
Hey, I want to kind of rebuttal something on your take. I love the Washington pick with him and Bradley Beal. I don't like the Chicago for one reason. It's a lot of ISO ball. Especially when you have DeMar DeRozan. He's a guy, give him his ball, he can hit his mid-range, ISO, Zach LaVine. I'm not really too sure about Chicago, in my opinion.
Oh, I feel you, Freddie. I don't see a package that Chicago could give him, because you're not going to give him DeRozan or LaVine. And I think it would be foolish to give Caruso up for him when you have Caruso, who's playing really good basketball for them.
Yes, it's going to be tough overall, because, like I said, whatever team he goes to, will you be willing to pay him the money? What's the trade package? Will it be, who's going to go all in? I don't really like the Dallas pick either.
I don't like Dallas either.
Luka is a guy that has had the ball in his hand. How will Kyrie temperament handle with him, spacely standing in the corner, hitting knockdown threes, So that's a question mark to me as well. And we know how Mark Cuban is. Even before Kyrie, we seen him with Jalen Brunson this offseason. At times he can come out as be cheap, not willing to spend money to, surround his players, his team with quality players. So
I agree with Chris Charlton. As good as he is, why would a team give up a lot to get him if he's unreliable? And I think that's the number one adjective you can use for Kyrie Irving is unreliable.
Is he though? I mean, I understand this past year. I'm talking about this season. So have his characteristics not changed the people's view of him? You think? Because this year he seemed like he's committed. He's been balling. I know he had that one slip up with the Jewish community about a few months ago, but other than that, we really haven't heard from Kyrie Irving. He's been kind of.
There's a slip up every year, though, bro. Every year.
It's consistently a slip up, yeah.
From the bubble to the situation that happened with where he wanted to take days off and his mental health, and then the next year it's the comments about the Jewish community. The year before that, you're dealing with the situation that had in Boston, where he essentially quit on the team after he said he was going to re-sign there, to the situation where he forced his way out of Cleveland. If I can give you 5 situations off the top of my dome, not expecting this question in the last 8 years, I think that tells you everything that you need to know.
Yeah, and on the contract, it came out that Kyrie, it really wasn't about the money what the Brooklyn was offering. It's more of the stipulations within the contract.
Yeah,
and he's probably gonna get that no matter where he go.
Yeah, well, Chris Charlton said the same thing I was about to bring up. Brooklyn, he already told Brooklyn in contract talks that he only wants to play 57 games out of an 82-game season. Are you talking about paying a guy $20 million, $40 million to play 2/3 of your games? That's worse than Street Clothes Davis.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to clarify and let y'all know something right here. This is what you call red flags.
Facts. The girl drinks too much wine.
So let me.
Got multiple male friends. It's a red flag.
So let me ask you a question. just to give clarification to the viewers, we all do agree that if we take away the antics, we take away him not being reliable, Kyrie Irving's worth however much money there is. There should be every team coming after Kyrie Irving, the talent.
That's if you guarantee reliability, though.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You can't separate the reliability from the player. And that's where I think we get into a tricky situation, right? You want a guy like Kyrie to come in. What's going on, Marcus?
How y'all feeling?
We good. But you want a player like Kyrie to be something he's giving you plenty of examples he's not going to be, which is reliable. I think you have to temper your expectations if you bring him in. He wants to play 57 games. If you're going to bring him in, that's what you're going to get. But also, if you're only going to play 57 games, then we're going to prorate this contract to your hind parts based on 57 games. We're not paying you for 82 games if you're only going to play 57 or 60 or whatever, you know.
And this goes a question to Gene and Marcus, whichever one they want, because they're both Philadelphia. If Brooklyn called Philly and say that we want Tobias Harris, just basically flip-flop.
No.
You say no.
We already have 2 point guards. We got Maxey and Harden, and both of them are playing at a higher level than Kyrie Irving is. And they're available. No, I absolutely not. I wouldn't take Kyrie. I wouldn't take Kyrie for a bag of Doritos, Cool Ranch, nacho cheese. I wouldn't take him for any of that.
Spicy nacho.
Can I answer Chris's last question? He said, "How much does Ben Simmons play into all of this?" He's a big factor. And can we talk about this? Is the big right now? It has officially happened. This is the biggest failure in NBA in sports history. Just not say NBA history, sports history. This team, they came together. Their one mindset was to build a championship. It started with Kyrie and KD. We know KD missed the first year, due to him tearing his Achilles and Golden State. They traded for James Harden. They were supposed to win a championship. Didn't go right. They traded James Harden, then you go after Ben Simmons. And now we see we're in the same situation as it was last year. But this is one of the biggest failures because just think about all the trades that had to go down, the picks that they had to be involved, the money that was given out. This is the biggest failure. It's bigger. And the Clippers have been a failure with Kawhi and PG. This is even bigger than that.
But here's the thing for that, Freddie, though. Just to throw one thing in there. There were a plethora of red flags with Big Simmons before they went out and got him. So the fact that they went out and made that move and ignored those red flags, they are reaping those benefits. I said it before. You do not want Ben Simmons on your team. You can talk about, he rebounds the ball well, he passes the ball well. This man is mentally broken. He is the Carson Wentz of the NBA.
Great comparison.
Now, let me ask y'all this. You know what I'm saying? Because New Jersey was the Nets at one point, right? And they got it right. When they had Kid, Richard Jefferson, Kenyon Martin, Vince Carter, when they had them boys, they got it right. Now, when they became Brooklyn, it seemed like they lost all credibility to trading for players and drafting players as far as going after Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce when they 88 years old on the tail end of their careers and stuff like that. And then they went out and you go get Kyrie and KD that's proven nothing outside of things in Golden State. And then you hinge your wagon onto a Ben Simmons. I mean, you curve at this point. So, when it comes to the Nets, especially being in Brooklyn, what they get right now, they deserve every bit of it. And he asked for, I'm glad he's not cut off you. And if Philly tries to make a move for him, then that lets me know that they're not trying to win anything by trying to trade for Kyrie Irving. I wouldn't trade Kyrie Irving for 3 boxes of great value cornflakes at this point.
I'm gonna tell you what Brooklyn tried to do. They tried to take New York, try to take over New York, try to claim them. Just say, okay, we're gonna do something the Knicks haven't done in years. We're gonna bring in all these stars. We're gonna win a championship. But they failed. They failed miserably at that, by the way.
Big time.
That's what they tried to do.
I don't even think they have future draft picks or anything like that, right? Or do they got a couple swaps with Philly because of that Harden deal? But I even think that's pretty much like mid 20s. Matter of fact, if they try to do a swap, they both gonna be in the playoffs. So I don't even think they have draft picks to even try to build a with younger talent.
You said mid-20s?
They could be mid-20s.
No, sir. Philadelphia will be picking late 20s.
Hey, who's worse, Kyrie Irving or Aaron Rodgers at this point?
Kyrie, not close.
Yeah, Kyrie. Aaron Rodgers just does some mushroom and stuff in the offseason.
Aaron Rodgers won 2 MVPs in the last 3 seasons.
At least he has a Super Bowl, and I believe went to another one. He same team. Because he might, like the mushrooms y'all want, but just likes to enjoy his off season. And deny his talent.
Just a one-word answer. Do you think Kyrie Irving stays? And if you can just say stays, and if you think he goes, just tell me the team you think he lands on. Just one word. You could say stays or like Heat, stays or Lakers, whatever y'all want to do. Cool. What you got?
Goes. I'm gonna pick the Clippers.
John Wall ain't gonna like that. Freddie, what you got?
Yeah, because he's gonna be in New York.
I know
that's why he gonna like it.
Goes and Lakers. Yeah.
But see,
leaves and Lakers. I wasn't gonna say goes because I'm changing it up. I'm saying leave.
I'm gonna say stays, and I'll stay with that. I don't think Brooklyn succumbs to his request. I think they see this season out, and then the money comes off the books.
Can I rebuttal on that real quick?
Sure, of course.
The reason why I think they'll trade him is because they don't want it to be a situation where they get nothing from the dude. Like.
Yeah, but what if Lakers going to give him a 2027 first-round draft pick?
It's something, bro. I mean, 2 draft picks is something. I mean, at least you get something for the headache. I mean, hey, this dude has been worse than COVID. This dude has been a headache.
I think about this too. If you don't trade him, he might have a hamstring problem. So either way, you get nothing from him.
Well, no, they did report that he will fulfill his contract. Chris Haynes did report that. If they don't trade him.
Kevin Durant reported he is staying in Brooklyn, then asked for a trade.
But I'm just saying, if he wanted to put pressure on Brooklyn, he could come out and say, "Yeah, if you don't trade me, I'm just going to sit out the rest of the season." He's not doing that.
Well, you can't necessarily say that because then you won't get paid.
Yes, you can. I mean, AD did that when he forced his way out of New Orleans. He could easily do that.
He got an ankle injury, so somehow they spin it to where he's injured.
Well, my thing, man, my thing about the whole situation is I think they're going to trade him for what Freddie's saying. Like, you want to get something out of him. That's why I think they're going to trade him. Could I see them also saying, you know what? Screw what you want. You're going to sit here and stew in your juices the rest of the season and then buy. I mean, depending on how you feel about him within the organization, that's a possibility. But he's already said he's not coming back, right? So he's like, I'm not coming back. I'm not signing anything. I'm leaving. So I would try to get something for him. The thing is attempting to make the salaries match up. So you're going to end up getting 1 or 2 guys that you're probably going to cut as soon as you get, or it's not even going to see the floor on your team. But I think, you want to try to get a pick, a good young player or something, out of the deal. But you may be right, G. They may just say, screw it. We'll just take the cap space. But I think it's going to be the Clippers just because I think they have an attractive group of picks and players that they could give them to
the Clippers don't have any
services.
Picks. The Clippers don't have draft picks.
They got second-round picks.
Huh?
They got second-round picks.
So,
we can get players with second-round picks. You know what I'm saying?
I think they got 25 second-round picks. The Clippers do.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Cool. If you are the Clippers, who are you giving up? Like, what is your trade? What does that trade package look like?
So you're going to give up Covington. You're going to probably give up a draft pick. If it's second rounders, maybe 2 second rounders, and John Wall.
So let me ask you a question.
I don't know if those dollars match exactly, but just
let's compare packages. You have Russell Westbrook, who's better than John Wall. They're similar players, but he's better than John Wall. And the 2 first draft picks, I know it's later on, and Alani Walker. You want to throw that in there?
But are you going to give up all of that for a guy that you could turn around and sign after the season's over and not have to give up anything for? Because
that's vice versa for the Clippers. But I'm just
this is what I'm saying. So because we're only doing one word, I didn't give my complete thought. I think he's going to go to the Clippers, finish out the Liberty Clippers, and then walk down the hall and be like, I want to play with y'all. That's what I think is going to happen. So I think the Clippers aren't going to give up a lot, but they'll give up like a couple of expiring contracts or, a couple of contracts and maybe a pick, or 2 second-round picks to get him to see if he could make a difference for the rest of this season.
I disagree because if Jerry West get his hands on Kyrie Irving this year, I'm going to say this, man, that makes that team even more dangerous if – this is a big if – Kawhi and Paul George can stay on the court. That makes I don't – and Chris, I think Kevin Durant might not request it now, but this offseason, I expect a trade request from that man, and I believe he will stick to it this time.
I mean, I don't think he ever rescinded last time. They just said nah.
Well, yeah, true.
Right. That's all they did. Brooklyn said no.
And that's a piece of why I can kind of agree with where Gene's coming from, because you already told KD nah. So you could be like, you could tell Kyrie to nah. But I think
it's kind of different
to grab something.
Because KD had a multi-years on his deal versus Kyrie's about to be a free agent.
But it's the dollars versus whatever you get back. Because if you keep him, you wipe him completely off the books and you got all that money to use. If you bring somebody back in, it's at least going to take up part of that cap space.
And who's to say that the Brooklyn Nets want to pair Russell Westbrook with Kevin Durant again? Like, we've seen that. I thought
exactly.
They still no. Hey, what I'm thinking is they get Russ. They're going to cut Russ. They're going to waive him.
Yeah, but you're not wasting a year of Kevin Durant's prime to have no chance at an NBA championship.
Well, I'm just saying it's 2 months. I mean, I'm talking about it's 2 months, bro. I mean, it literally that's all you're going to have him.
No, but Brooklyn is the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference.
But what move out there?
Shot at the NBA championship. Why would you not keep Kyrie Irving in that situation? I think if they do trade him, I think they will trade him for pieces in which they think they can fit with their current team, which is why I thought the package with Miami made the most sense, because you add Kyrie to that team in Miami and all you give up is Hero and a rotational bench player, which I'm not rotational bench anymore because PJ Walker's not there, but you give them Hero and Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
That gives them shooters to put around Simmons, and your lineup looks like Hero, Simmons, KD. You have a Duncan Robinson. You have a decent lineup to throw. Listen,
Gene, you almost laughed at that lineup yourself, bro. No, you held yourself.
I'll put it to you this way: in an open gym, I think Steph Curry is the only person in the NBA that can shoot better than Duncan Robinson. In an open gym. Now, I say that meaning that, it's tough for you to be able to get a shot off. Like Duncan Robinson's not as athletic, can't shoot off ball as well. But as far as open gym, just shooting, I think that Steph Curry, I would have said Clay a couple years ago, but Clay's still great. Don't get me wrong. He's still top 5.
He's not Clay.
Correct. But I think the only person that shoots, like, and if you have spacing on the court, with Seth Curry, Duncan Robinson, you're just going to surround shooters around Ben Simmons and KD. It can make that offense lethal. It really can.
I don't know. That the Westbrook thing would be more beneficial for both teams, because then you're pairing both the point guards again with people they're familiar with. And then if you're throwing in like a lot of
another point guard that can't shoot in Brooklyn, and not to mention they don't get along with the best player, so you're going to have Westbrook and Simmons on the court at the same time. Jesus,
that part makes it hard.
All 5 people in the lane.
If you're going to do that, boy, you might as well put me out there for offense.
But see, that's the thing, because for everything you just said, Westbrook is going to give you the same production, if not more, than Simmons is going to give you. Because Westbrook's
going the same team.
He's going to attack the boards. He's going to push in transition, and you still got shooters on both sides for him to pass to. So you don't play Simmons in the fourth quarter, but you can play Westbrook in the fourth quarter.
Do you really want to play Westbrook in the fourth quarter after what we've seen?
But see,
him from LA,
it drives me nuts when I can shoot better than NBA player.
Yeah.
Like
I'm a fat 300-pound white dude, and I can shoot better than NBA players.
we
Me, Ben Simmons. I'll tell you right now, if we're in a 3-point contest and they could set this up, and it was me, Ben Simmons, and Russell Westbrook, and you won't put all your money on me, I'm gonna be mad at y'all. I would beat both of them in a 3-point contest. No doubt in my mind.
It goes to like certain players just play well in certain situations, and just because he's not a fit in LA doesn't mean he won't be a fit in Brooklyn. You know,
let me rebuttal to that. So here's the thing: if we go throughout the career of Russell Westbrook, have we seen him ever be a great shooter? Can we think of?
That's the thing. He doesn't need to be.
And he does if he go into Brooklyn. So this is where you need to understand. You already have Ben Simmons. So anybody that you bring in as a guard on that team, everybody else has to be a good shooter. Because when Ben Simmons is out there, this dude, I wouldn't even cover him if he's at the 3-point range. Outside 3-point range, I let him go. Do you, because you ain't going to make it. But you have to bring in guys that are shooters to play with him, because you can put him in the middle. You could try to have him rebound. You do whatever. You have to have shooters. If you're going to have a guy that's offensively challenged as Ben Simmons, everyone else on the court needs to be a shooter, because you have to make up for the lack of just ability offensively that Ben Simmons possesses at this point in his career.
You could reverse LA with Westbrook and Simmons. Bring Simmons off the bench and start Westbrook.
Hell no. Heck no. No. We don't want Ben Simmons. No.
I'm talking about
no.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That don't work, Marcus.
No, listen. In Brooklyn, if you trade Kyrie and Westbrook, you bring off the bench. You bring Simmons off the bench and you let Westbrook start. Is what I'm saying for Brooklyn if you trade for Kyrie. That way versus LA. That way they don't have to necessarily be on the floor at the same time.
Marcus, nobody wants Ben Simmons as your starting point guard and then Westbrook as your overpaid guy coming off the bench. The only people that are going to do that is LA.
What I'm saying is Ben Simmons will be coming off the bench.
But you're paying Ben Simmons a lot of money too.
Hey, that's Brooklyn's fault. I'm just giving you a scenario. Like, regardless of how you see it, you're going to get the same production from Ben Simmons. You're going to get 6. You're going to get damn near a triple single like Draymond, but at least Draymond gives you on a defensive end. At least Draymond will put up some shots.
Listen, this is how it's going to work. If the Lakers traded Russ there, they were going to include them picks. The picks is going to be more valuable to Brooklyn than Westbrook. They'll waive Westbrook. We only have 2 more months of the season, basically. And I think they'll probably trade Ben Simmons some picks and maybe get somebody else to help KD throughout the season. But that's the only way that, the Russell Westbrook trade would work. I don't see Russ playing with KD and Ben Simmons on the court.
But who's going to trade you for Ben Simmons? That's what I want to know.
There's a team. There's a team that could use him. A team that have a lot of shooters that needs that strong forward who could, kind of help, facilitate, get the guys open. There's a team. There's a team. Look at Atlanta. Let me ask you a question. You're the Hawks. They've been trying to trade Collins for a while. They need a point forward, a guy that can help, make it easier on Trae Young, get DeJounte Murray, a guy that can help, run the offense through a little bit, a guy that can play defense. That's something that they need, something that he likes to do. He wouldn't have to really shoot as much or score the ball as much, but that's a place, in my opinion. Or you look at the Sacramento Kings, a team that have a whole bunch of shooters.
For Ben Simmons would be Dallas.
Ben Simmons not in Dallas, bro.
He point forward, and that give another ball handler to
not in Dallas.
to Luka, and he could play that Chris Woods role.
I'll say this. I think y'all are very optimistic about the possibilities for Ben Simmons.
Oh, I'm not. He stinks.
I don't think teams are going to give up anything more than a smoke and a pancake and maybe a couple orange juice and maybe scrambled an egg on the side.
So cool. If you're the Hawks GM, you wouldn't swap them, Collins and Ben?
No, I wouldn't. There's
We still
no
talk about Benjamin Simmons.
universe. There's no universe where I would make that swap. And if you throw me in 2-3 first round picks, I'll think about it. But
Y'all still
swap,
talking about Benjamin Simmons?
I'm just saying that's a team that's been needing help on the defensive end, and
Well, truth be told, he had it better than Philadelphia. He should have just kept his butt right where he at. But I like that
he did what he did, and the thing is, it is what it is. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
That's how you can sum it. It is what it is. That's how you sum it up.
Benjamin.
All right,
y'all know
gentlemen.
why I call him Benjamin, right? I know Cool knows. Y'all know why I call him Benjamin?
no.
He ain't got no J. There's no J allowed in that name. It's Benjamin Simmons, no Benjamin. There's no J. That J broke.
That
Yo,
J is
I'm a weirdo, right? I listen to a ton of podcasts. I listen to a lot of people talk sports. Let's call it like it is, right? JJ Redick podcast, The Old Man in the Three. Y'all ever listen to that? It's a very good podcast about basketball.
Yeah, I like that one, and I also like
and he's friends with Ben, right? He's friends with Ben. And he said, I think Ben is left-handed. And he doesn't know it. Because the way, like, you talk about professional basketball players saying, I think he's using the wrong hand to shoot.
And a former teammate of his
jumper is. He's using the wrong hand to shoot.
When he was coming out of college, he was shooting left-handed.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was shooting left-handed. And for whatever reason, he switched it up. I don't care now. You know, if he was the Sixers, I might say, okay, yeah, you need to go back to shooting left hand.
There's one team that could have Ben Simmons. And it's because they had a similar player back in the day. That's the Lakers. And they know how to use a big point guard like that. We've seen what they did at Irving Magic Johnson.
Oh,
a guy who really can shoot like that.
Guys' names in the same sense. That's disrespectful to Magic Johnson.
Sacrilegious.
Yo, you know what Magic had that Ben Simmons didn't have? It's right here, Freddie.
No, I agree.
Heart.
And mental.
Hey, Chris, thank you for tuning in with us, brother. Appreciate the love. Make sure you follow us.
My guy. Chris is my guy. I love that guy.
Did get to answer this one with your trade Harris and Ty Baller for Collins.
Ty Baller. I think he's trying to say Thibault.
Maybe.
I think it is Thibault.
That's a team. Hey, if I'm the Hawks and Golden, or if I'm the Hawks, Sacramento, I would definitely be looking at trying to get a Thibault. A team, like I said, a team that needs somebody that can play defense, a guy that can protect on the perimeter. He's that type of guy.
You know, he's straight in Philadelphia. We need him right where he at. And as long as that ball is continuing to develop, we still need him coming off the bench. Philly be a
play.
He plays. Doc Rivers don't. Doc Rivers.
Marcus, he don't play. I've not seen him on the court in a while.
I forgot he was on your team, to be honest.
Nah,
and I watch it. You know, watch it decent.
Nah, he was just balling against Orlando on the second win, not the first one. On our second win, he was balling. His 3-pointer starting to develop too. So you got a guy that can play defense and shoot the three. He's right where he needs to be.
He gets a smooth 8 minutes a game. I get it.
Guess he was trying to spell that. Matisse can't shoot either. It's been 4 years. That's fair. So, gentlemen, we're going to move on. I know we could continue this conversation for a while, but we're going to move on. So our next topic we are going to discuss the Eastern and Western Conference reserves. I'll first give you a list of Eastern Conference. You can talk to me about who you feel like was slighted and why, and your thoughts on the people that did make the team. All right, so for the Eastern Conference reserves, you get 2 guards, 3 front court players, and then 2 wild cards. And it's actually broken down by who was what. So the guards that were chosen were DeMar DeRozan and Jaylen Brown. Okay. The front court players, Joel Embiid, should have been a starter. That's garbage, but it is what it is. Bam Adebayo and Julius Randle, or your 3 forwards, or Big Ben, or however you want to call it. The 2 wild cards that were chosen were Drew Holiday and Tyrese Halliburton. So first, I'll ask everyone their thoughts on the players that were actually made the team, and then if there's anybody you feel like was slighted, and the question is, who would you replace them with?
Yep.
So, Freddie, we'll start off with you.
So what's the question exactly again?
So we went over the Eastern Conference reserves.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the people that made the team? And is there anyone that you think was slighted, should have made the team and didn't? And if you feel like someone was slighted, who would you replace them with? So who would you take off the team and put them in place of?
I was disappointed to not see Joel Embiid start. This is the best big man in the East. I don't see how he's not on your starting forward. I understand you have Kevin Durant, but what really ticks me off is that Kevin Durant can miss games due to injury, but you don't give him the same treatment as other players. He's still playing. I don't like that. That takes me off. Be fair. If you're gonna do this one player, be fair to everybody. That's number one. Joel Embiid. You know, if you're looking at numbers, which Gene will go under, he has the better numbers than KD. Team record is better than KD, and all that good stuff. So that's a problem. I'm gonna tell you a player who didn't deserve to be on here, but needs to get out of the team. LiAngelo Ball. He needs to get out of Charlotte. Because what that kid be doing up there, I mean, he's a special talent, but just on a bad team that Michael Jordan isn't going to invest around. That is my 2 cents.
He's been hurt for a lot of the season. So
no, I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that Michael Jordan isn't going to do right by him.
I mean, you got to be out there. He needs to be out there for the team to be good. So if he's not out there, that team is going to be garbage. I mean, they got to get more players for sure. But
why go out there to that trash though?
Cool. I listened to the question. I am ready to reply.
Go ahead, Gene.
In correct form, sir.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Gene.
So in the Eastern Conference, I actually am not. I don't dislike anybody that made the list.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have made a change? Yes. There's 2 guys I would have changed. I would have swapped out. I would have swapped Halliburton and Drew Holiday, both of those guys that made the team, for Pascal Siakam and Jalen Brunson. They're the 2 I would have made the team over, but I don't hate that. Now, here's the one thing I will put out.
Okay.
A lot of people are going to bring up Trae Young not making it because the list of players that have 27 points and 9 assists in the NBA is Trae Young, end of list. But the point I will bring with Trae Young is he is an – I told you Steve Nash was the worst defender I've ever watched play basketball.
You did.
Trae Young is right there. He is right there. I think I can score on Trae Young. But at the end of the day, the 2 people I would replace would be and no slight against him. Halliburton deserves to be an all-star. It's a shame that he's not in the weak Western Conference because it'd be a no doubt about it all-star. But Halliburton and Drew Holiday replaced by Jalen Brunson, who's been an absolute stud on the New York Knicks, and Pascal Siakam, who's averaging 25, 7, and 6, has the most minutes played in the NBA. He's best player on that Raptors team. That would have been my replacements.
Spicy P.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm only taking off Halliburton for James Harden, and I'm keeping Drew Holiday where he at because Milwaukee.
Marcus, your Sixers bias is worse than my Lakers bias.
I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? Because
tell us why, Marcus. Tell us why. Tell us why you would put Harden on.
We still the second seed, so I believe if you don't have, 2 people representing in the top 3 in All-Star game, then it's an issue. Take it how you want to. I'd rather have, James Harden in there, and then Halliburton. I'm not saying that he ain't playing well. He doesn't deserve it, but in the top 3 seeds, or for you to get there, you have to have all stars in that position that you're in. And my Sixers bias, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't discredit it. I own it to the fullest. And by James Harden being a Sixer, that's just what I'm gonna take. And by Drew Holiday being a former Sixer, it's not gonna take him off.
All right. I would. I like the team. I like the guys that they picked. I think that, as Gene said, none of these are necessarily wrong picks. I would replace Halliburton with Siakam, and I'll explain why I did that versus Holiday and as well. So I think Holiday deserves it because he's been the most consistent player on that Bucks team. There's been a top 3 team all year since he's been playing. Jalen Brunson does deserve it as well. Don't get me wrong. But again, as Gene was saying, where there's so many guards, it's so guard heavy. Sometimes a guy that probably should make it doesn't. The reason I would replace Halliburton is I feel like when you do those 2 spots, you always need to do a big and a guard. So I think putting 2 guards there is not wise. I think you want to do one big wild card and one guard wild card because you want to be able to balance out. Worst case scenario, you have more length than the West, but best case scenario, you're even, right? Because they're going to put at least one guard there as well. So I think you should always go with a forward and a guard in those 2 spots. And I think Siakam is the best forward that didn't make the team. So that's why I would make that move.
Yeah, I still don't think you can go wrong with how it goes. But like Freddie said, by Embiid being the one big that didn't start, that's not a starter, kind of throws everything else off because it makes no sense that he's categorized as a forward in this particular position. Don't get me wrong, if you want to throw Tatum in there because, they're the 1 seed in the East, I get it. But as far as KD being in there, he missed more games Joel missed, basically. And he's not being punished, I should say, or deducted, however you want to frame it, in the All-Star game. He can be, I guess, by him, having more votes at this time makes him the captain. But I would went with the second most votes in that situation when he got hurt to be like, okay, he's our captain for the All-Star game. Throw Joel Embiid in there as a starter. Then you can go from there, for who your next forward would be as a wild card reserve.
Marcus Giannis is the captain.
My bad.
Yeah.
Damn. I really ever see.
We can.
But I believe Taylor made it as a starter, though. My fault. I believe Taylor made it as a starter.
He did.
Over Embiid. Okay.
Yo. All right. So you good. So for the Western Conference reserves, we have at the 2 guard positions, Ja Morant and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. For forwards, we have Domantas Sabonis, Paul George, and Lauri Markkanen. The wild cards, we have Damian Lillard and Jaren Jackson Jr. So Freddie, same question as before. How do you feel about the team that's there? Is there anyone in the reserves that you would swap out? And who would you swap them out with if there is someone?
Hell yeah, there is. Hell yeah, there is. And I got a problem with this. I got a real problem with this. How can Zion Williamson make the All-Star game, and he missed the same amount of time as Anthony Davis, and AD's having a better season than him? I mean, come on, NBA. Let's get it right. Y'all want to pump Zion up so high and mighty, where every chance they're going to treat him just like they tried to do with Kawhi, just like how they try to do with KD. Y'all going to try to pump him up, elevate him up until where eventually you're going to pop the bubble and realize that he will not be the face of the league. He missed the same amount of time as Anthony Davis, but he's in the All-Star game. I have a problem with that because AD has had a better season than Zion, if we're being honest.
All right, Gene.
So I agree with Freddie, actually.
We talked about it last week.
That Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson have played the same amount of games, and Anthony Davis has better statistics. So I think Anthony Davis should be on the team over Zion Williamson. I also believe that Paul George and Jaren Jackson are an absolute joke to make the roster. I'm sorry. You have people like Anthony Edwards who didn't make the roster, should have made the roster. What did the Fox say with the Aaron Fox?
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento, they're like the 4 seed in the West right now. No one had them there. And it's embarrassing that Zion Williamson's starting. I wouldn't have started AD. I would have had AD coming off the bench with 29 games. I would have started someone like Lauri Markkanen or Domantas Sabonis. One of those guys that have really essentially put their team to over exceed expectations this year on the Kings and the Utah Jazz. I think it's embarrassing that Zion Williamson's on the team, let alone starting. So my 3 replacements would be Anthony Edwards, Anthony Davis, and De'Aaron Fox.
Y'all, it must be hell. We must be living in hell. We must be something's going on here because I was ready. I was locked and loaded, ready for Gene to come at me. Man, it's a good day.
Look, I know you're a little bit
good day.
I know you're a little bit Laker biased, but like right here, you're not. I get that you were going to have your guys back and to have Marcus's back because you're wrong here, Freddie. James Harden 100% deserved to make the All-Star team too. He's averaging 21 and 11 on the second best team in the Eastern Conference. It's just to be honest, when I'm looking at it, there was just a lot of really good guards in the Eastern Conference, but I don't think that's biased to think that James Harden deserved to make the All-Star team. 21 and 4 and 11 is how Steve Nash won the MVP of the entire league.
But the game has changed since then too.
21 and 11 should make the All-Star team. Period.
So you think he's
Drew Holiday's averaging 16 and 9?
I'm not talking about Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday was definitely something that I'm like, wow, he got in okay. But I look at Halliburton like he's the engine to that Indiana Pacer team. Like literally the engine.
I love Halliburton. I do. But Drew Holiday over James Harden or Pascal Siakam. Siakam's the biggest snub in the entire All-Star game. I think it's embarrassing he didn't make it, if I'm being honest.
The record he ain't so much a snub.
I don't care what their record is. How many players make the All-Star team on a shitty team because they're a great player? Happens all the time. LeBron James made the All-Star team. They're on a shitty team.
Hold on. How is he on a shitty team? Tell me. There are 2 games behind the 6 spot, bro.
Well, what Marcus just brought up was that Toronto didn't have a good.
We had to take a shot at Gene. We was doing good this whole show. We was doing good, brother. We was doing good.
But Toronto and the LA Lakers almost have the same record. So if that's the shot that Marcus wants to take, then I'm going to return it by using star players that make the All-Star team. Pascal Siakam needs to be on the All-Star team. If you want to talk about records, let's talk about records then. We could talk about players that don't deserve to make it based off records. But Pascal Siakam's had a great year, and it's embarrassing that he doesn't get to make the All-Star team.
But you taking me out of content. You know what I'm saying? The players that's made it or is making it in front of Siakam, their record is better. As far as the LeBron, I can't disagree with you. You know what I'm saying? Their record sucks.
Leave my team out of it. I mean, we chilling, bro.
No, but I'm saying
chilling. We've been chilling, bro. Hey,
I can't sit there and not say he doesn't deserve it, but hey, his record sucks. But that's how the fans.
It don't suck, Marcus.
That's how everybody.
Oh my god, bro! Listen, Marcus.
Listen, I'm not.
Wait, are you okay
no. I'm getting sick and tired of this. How Gene get tired of? Hold on, no. Like how Gene get tired of people saying the Eagles haven't played nobody. I'm getting sick and tired of this Lakers standard. Let's go over the Western Conference standards, bro. Pull up the standards. Pull it up from the 6th seed.
I got it.
Hey, listen, I agree. They only like 2 games away from the 3rd seed or the 4th seed. I don't care about that. But what I'm saying is for Siakam to be, he's not the biggest snub because everybody else that made it, their record is better than his in the East.
Since when has the All-Star game become a team record accomplishment, though?
Correct, and I agree with you. That's my point. And
It's not that,
you look at the Los Angeles Lakers and you look at the Toronto Raptors, guess what position they are both in the playoffs?
Oh, my God. You keep doing it, Gene. Like, we get it. We get it.
I
12.
get it. But here's the thing.
To answer the question, sir.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm gonna sit here everything that you said as far as the Western Conference reserves go. I agree with everything y'all from the 3 players to who should be in and who shouldn't be in it. I agree with y'all, but what I'm saying when it comes to Siakam, everybody else that's on that board in the East has a better record than he does. That's all I'm saying. He's not so much the biggest snub in the All-Star game. I'm sorry to say that. I think James Harden.
Honestly, I wish team record would go away from MVPs. Me personally.
I completely disagree with that. It's not the best NBA player award. It's the most valuable player award. So the team record should have a lot to do with the most valuable player in the league.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to answer the question now since Marcus has had his turn. As far as the reserves go, I'd have to agree that I think Paul George does not deserve to be on this team. I personally also think Zion Williamson does not deserve to be on this team. I also think for the same reason that I don't think that Paul George or Zion Williamson belongs on this team. I don't think Damian Lillard belongs on this team. I don't think Jaren Jackson should have made it either. So I have 4 spots actually that need to be filled. I do think AD, if he's healthy to play, should have been a backup because what he was doing, the games that he did play in a thinner Western Conference with a lot of great players, I think he should be there in one of those spots. I think that Anthony Edwards should have one of those spots. Gets a little tough for me, after those 2. But I think
I think you got it.
I'm really thinking who I would put in, though. I think you got to put in.
Fox.
Yeah, I was going to go with Fox, but I'm trying to think of another big to put in another forward because I like to have, 2 guards, 2 forwards. So I was trying to think of another forward that I would put in from the West over Paul George.
Man, why are you thinking of that, bro? I don't know what happened, bro. From the And1 podcast into the top of the Key podcast, I don't know what didn't happen, man. Because if this was the And1 podcast, who would have ready to kill AD? Man, there's something going on. There's something in the water.
It's not about that. I guess I would probably go with Andrew Wiggins at forward. That'd probably be the guy that I would put in on the West. It's not about killing AD. I mean, if we're talking about games played, we're talking about whatever, AD gets hurt a lot. But when he plays well. No one's ever said he doesn't play well. He just doesn't play enough. So I think that's who I would put in as my 4 people for the replacements. Because one of my things is I like people that play. Now, like I said, the front court is a little thin out west. So I'd probably go with Wiggins as a replacement. He's had a solid season. Not great, but I think he's had a solid season over Paul George.
That's crazy. The West really not big on the center.
They
don't really have,
I just don't understand how cool with a straight face can take Dame Lillard off the team and add AD. I get that they play 2 different positions, but Kendall Johnson for the San Antonio Spurs has played 41 games, 12 more games, and listen, I'm all for adding AD to that team. I think AD deserves to replace Zion Williamson. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I don't know where the Dame slander comes from. He's played 40 games. It's not like he's playing a little bit of games. He's played 40 games, averaging 30 points a game. Dame Lillard, if he played 50 games or 45 games, should be a starter for the NBA All-Star team. I don't know where the slander comes from. I don't get it. De'Aaron Fox don't deserve to be in the game over Dame Lillard. To play 4 more games, that don't make sense.
Yeah, Dame is averaging 30. Cool. 30.
That's the guy I would take off. I mean,
right, but you can't be wrong with who you take off or who you keep it on. But as conversation goes, it's All-Star game. So I mean,
Hey, one thing that we do know,
they not like the first 20 games of the season, but after that, they done cooled off a lot. So
the one thing that we do know is everybody want to see the king. That's why this Tuesday and Thursday, them ticket prices are going high, and the old Kareem Jabbar gonna be in attendance. We do know that.
I mean, it's a good record. I mean,
That's not a good record. It's a great record. Something that nobody thought would ever be broken, Marcus.
It's
Don't do
one of
that.
the greatest records of all time.
Yeah,
It's
don't do that,
not
Marcus.
the greatest. It's the second greatest record of all time
Yeah.
in NBA.
Bro, it's and just imagine, just think about who's breaking it. A guy that got criticized to say he can't score the ball, bro. Just imagine that. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, you can run with the narrative that he can't score, but I kind of
No, I'm just saying what people say.
yeah, I'm just saying I kind of agree with KD. He's a scorer that can pass, regardless if you got the prettiest jump shot or you don't. If you can average 28, 7, and 7 your whole career, you're a scorer. I don't care how you get your buckets, but
Bro, just think
I don't
about
think-
this. Since
I don't think it's-
2023, LeBron has been a top 5 player in the NBA.
I'm not disagreeing with that. But when I say this record, because technically, when you go in totality of it, he been past Kareem as having the most points.
And also, the Lakers has been one of the best teams in 2023, not 2022, 2023.
So I mean, it's a good
I'm really trying to get Gene cranked up. I am. I really am.
My
I'm just putting the
thing is
fluid in there. I'm putting the starting fluid in there. I'm trying to crank it up. Go, Gene, go.
My thing with the scoring record is, yes, when he passes it, it's going to be a nice accomplishment for him.
A nice accomplishment.
Yeah, because
You act like he.
it's not like it's not a bad. I'm not like discrediting.
I'll say this.
I'm saying it's if they was like more so the 5th seed in the West, it'd have more bearing on it. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it's like that's a great accomplishment. You know what I'm saying? At some point, somebody has to break that record. Because it's not after LeBron. After LeBron breaks it, I don't see nobody else breaking it for another 56 years unless you can come straight out of high school again.
So it's not a nice accomplishment. It's one of the greatest accomplishments ever. Marcus, I'm not trying to be a smart ass when I say this. You're talking about the NBA scoring record like it's an assistant manager job at Foot Locker. What the hell are we talking about?
Nah.
It's the high most. Yo, you know what? Here's something wild. Look, I'm not a LeBron GOAT guy. I think he's second of all time, if not third. I think it's between him and Wilt, between second and third. I think once he passes the scoring record, he'll cement himself as second to me. But I'm not a LeBron GOAT guy, but this man is going to be number 1 all time in scoring and number 4 in assist.
That's
all time.
You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to impress me more. That the guy's going to be top 5 in scoring, top 10 in scoring, assisting, and rebounding. That's what impressed me more.
They have a stat called points created. You ever heard of this stat? It's called points created. It's basically the points you create off your assist and the points you score. John Stockton is second of all time in points created. LeBron is first by over 10,000 points. Do you realize how stupid that is?
I'm cool with however you want to spin the narrative. I'm cool with it. I'm not discrediting.
I want to change the topic. I want to ask a question because
I want to say something first before you do that, Freddie. I think that LeBron's accomplishment is phenomenal. I think the longevity it took to get here is impressive. What he's been able to do, the fact that he's stayed focused on what he has and has still tried to help his team win games, that is impressive. Because there's a lot of guys that they were in this situation. F the rest of y'all, I'm about to go get this record. I'm about to score 40, 50 points, knock this record out early as I can, whatever. He has tried his best to incorporate his team and play team ball as well. That's part of who he is, which is why he's top 4 in assists as well. But I do give him a lot of props for that. And when he does pass this record, I will give him props for that. Some people try to misconstrue if you don't agree with certain things about somebody that you don't appreciate their greatness. But that doesn't happen a lot of times. It's just that in certain situations, you see things a little differently.
No, his greatness and everything. I'm a LeBron fan. The Jordan.
Last night,
ring, he'd be my number 1. But what I'm saying is, by just them alone being in the 12th spot in the West kind of takes away from it a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Like they was like the 5th, 6th seed balling out. I agree. Big accomplishment. You really can't diminish it a little bit. To me, this record should have been broken 2 years ago from LeBron, personally. But I know he missed time from injuries and everything. It should have been broken. Well, yeah.
So Marcus,
after the COVID season.
Go ahead for that. I was going to say something else, but go ahead.
No. You go ahead. Cool.
I was just going to say you do realize the difference between 5th and 12th is 4 games.
Right, but
in the win column.
About to break this record, he's still going to be 12th. Sorry to tell you that.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, it's this next week.
He
could be up. He could be up to 7th. He could be up to 7th by then.
You just said the record should have been broken 2 years ago. The record hadn't been broken for 40 freaking years.
But I get it. But as of right now, for me,
yo, Marcus, I'm gonna tell you something right now, and I love you. I think
the 12th,
Marcus,
it should have been.
I love you, Mark. I love you. I really do. I think you're great radio. I think you say a lot of wild shit. I think it's funny. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. Nobody gives a damn where LeBron is on your list because your list is baffling. You had Chris Webber in your top 5. No one gives a damn where LeBron is on your list. And the all-time scoring record of all basketball players ever played the game, and you say should have broken 2 years ago. What the hell is the matter with you?
Top 5 all time. He's in my top 5 favorite things. So,
Freddie, he did it.
I want to bring something up.
But defend myself on that.
Oh my God.
But you can take how you want to take. I'm not taking away from LeBron's greatness. I'm just saying.
Yes, you are. When you make it seem like
listen, I think the longevity record is a better record than the scoring record. The fact that you can damn near stay healthy for 20 years and still balling like you're doing, impressive.
My man said he should have broke that shit 2 years ago.
No, he should have. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Despite all the free throws he missed, and the games he missed, it should have been broken 2 years ago.
You sound worse than Skip Bayless. You can't compliment the guy without throwing shade at the guy.
But I'm not throwing shade at him. I think by him not getting hurt, and all the free throws he missed, he should have broke his record 2 years ago. Outside the COVID season, it should have been broken 2 years ago.
I want to change the subject to something more realistic.
How's that not realistic? Tell me how that's not realistic.
I'm not going to entertain. You're not going to get me all worked out of character, Marcus. This is 2023.
I'm not disagreeing with y'all saying. I'm just saying by the record being 12 seed, it's not as good. It's not like a whoop-de-doo moment to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad he's going to pass. I'm glad he's going to be all-time scorer. All that good stuff. But it's not like unrealistic that he should have broke the record. That's not unrealistic.
All right. We get you. We don't get you, but we get you. Last night we seen a scuffle break out in Cleveland with Dylan Brooks and Donovan Mitchell. Just a minute ago, I got a tweet that Mo Bamba and Austin Rivers was going at it again. Like literally, but this is a bigger pile. Is this a good problem for the NBA, or do the NBA have a problem that needs to address? Because
no, it's a great problem. I'm sorry to tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't be PC when it comes to certain stuff. I love that Draymond defending himself with Jordan Poole pushed him. He had the right to defend himself. I like this. The scuffle, because you get hit in the nuts, by what's his name? What's his dude name? Dylan Brooks. I wish he would have hit him in the head with the basketball instead of throwing it underneath his damn arms when he was trying to get up. I love the fact that he body slammed him. It's not the malice in the palace. Hell, malice in the palace, I love that. You're not going to throw beer on me, expect me not to knock you out. I'm sorry. You can't spit on me, and you can't throw no foreign object. I'm going off. You know what I'm saying? That's just me personally. See the scuffle between Austin Rivers and Mo Bamba, but if it happened, I love it. Defend yourself. It might be basketball because even when you're on the playground, you can't foul me too hard or I'm going to swing on you. You know how this goes, but you got to keep it tame because you're a professional. I get it. But sometimes even being a professional, you can be pushed to the limit. I'm glad that Mitchell went back at him yesterday. I was loving it. I was hoping the cameraman lost the doggone camera because they got pushed into him. I was hoping that it got more physical, just to let you just can't hit me in the nuts from a play that you had no business doing a 360, a worm from Scotty Too Hotty that he hit me in the nuts at the same time. It makes no damn sense. I'm glad that he did that.
It's the first time on the show in the history of the show. I 100% agree with Marcus. I think it's great for the NBA. I really do. I think that I think, all right, so Freddie, I'm going to ask you a question real quick. What's the greatest rivalry in NBA history?
Pistons and Bulls. It got to be.
Hold on.
Lakers and Boston.
Lakers and Boston, Pistons and Bulls. Where did both those rivalries stem from? Where were they in their greatest times?
Back in the 60s, 80s, somewhere around there.
80s.
Yeah.
The 80s and early 90s were the greatest rivalries ever. And those rivalries came from bad blood, people getting thrown on the ground, hard fouls, physicality, fights. I mean, listen, as a Sixers fan, our biggest rivalry is the Boston Celtics. And there's no bigger memory than Julius Irving grabbing Larry Bird by his throat. We love that in Philadelphia, right? One of Joel Embiid's best memories is his 76ers when he threw Cat to the ground. They got into a fight in Philadelphia. That was amazing. We love that shit. And I'll tell you right now, if you can guarantee me that a fight breaks out like the Malice in the Palace, I'll be a season ticket holder. Let a fight break out. I'll show up every damn night. I would love that. No, seriously, it's great for the sport of basketball to have rivalries, physicality. I love the Memphis Grizzlies are like the modern day bad boys. Like everyone hates them. They're getting in fights. Jaren Jackson, Dylan Brooks, they constantly are playing really tough defense, and a cheap shot never hurt nobody. Actually, it did. It hurt plenty of people. But look, I don't like what Dylan Brooks did, taking a shot at Donovan Brooks' balls. But I will say this: Donovan Mitchell's balls. The fights are great for the game of basketball. No one says shit when it's hockey, though. They get in fist fights every goddamn night. But when it happens in the NBA, we're talking about, is it good for the sport? It's great for the sport. Great.
It's freaking awesome. I would, but it's freaking awesome when they do that. I'm sorry. Defend yourself. It's basketball. Let the competitive come out you when stuff like that happens. I'm sorry that Donovan Mitchell did sneak him. Did Jordan Poole body slam him or throw him towards his coach, however that works. He should have punched at a certain point, even if he didn't go for his nuts, but at a certain point, it's like at the end of the day, I'm still a man.
You know what my biggest disappointment is? A few years ago when Patrick Beverly went to Chris Paul, while Chris Paul was turned around the other way, and he basically went bam. And Chris Paul didn't go back, and hey, Chris Paul should have defended himself.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why Chris Paul didn't. I'll answer that. I'll answer your question as well. I'll put it all together. Chris Paul didn't go back because Chris Paul know that he do dirty stuff throughout the game. So he said he was probably happy that he got Patrick Beverly that mad that he came up and pushed him. Because Chris Robinson, of course, loves him. But Chris Paul's a dirty player, right? He's not like hurt you dirty, but he's like piss you off and make you want to beat him up dirty.
Facts.
Yeah, and I think he likes it. I think he enjoys playing that way.
Yeah.
Now, for your question, it's great. I agree with Marcus and Gene. It's great for the NBA. I'm sick of AAU buddy. Everybody's friends. Everybody loves each other. Everybody's my guy. We hang out outside of the sport. No, you ain't gotta like everybody. Everybody doesn't like everybody. Let it come up a little bit. I mean, don't take it too far. Let's not have a malice in the palace because we don't want to negatively affect the teams. If it happens, it's great TV. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying from the point of
the malice because fans couldn't keep their
let your internet catch up. Let your internet catch up. Let Cool finish his point, man. The internet's breaking up. Let Cool finish his point.
I love the malice in the palace. I loved it.
Yeah. I just feel like it was a great thing. Everything that happened, I feel like was great. Everything that will happen. I like some fights. I like a little violence, just control. But we don't all have to be buddies. We don't all have to love each other. Let's get it. Let's play this how we do it. Let's have some of that we really out here to beat you down. If that means I got to foul you a couple of times, oh well, right? Instead of all this, I feel like the NBA has become almost just soft, right? Almost like, ballet, almost like you can't touch nobody or everything's a foul. So let's get a little bit of physicality back in there. Let's get a little bit of nastiness, a little bit of grit, a little bit of I don't like you, you don't like me. I'll respect your game. I respect you as a player, but I don't like you as a person. And I'm gonna let you know when I get the opportunity. Love it.
Let me ask you this then, cool. Like, necessarily, even if you were, say, buddy outside the game, but as the game is going on and your competitor just comes out and something like that happens, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. And if you are buddies, that just let me know that in the heat of the game, my team versus your team, I got about the team. But then after that, I might, we can go out and have Starbucks or something together.
Let me rebuttal. If I'm about to beat your butt on the court, I don't like you. Okay. So we're not going out for frappes after the game. No, we're not. You know what I'm saying? We might dap up at the end like everybody do throughout the line, but it's gonna be like it ain't gonna be like no, it's gonna be good game. We going about my business this way. You going on about your business that way. I think we need to see that everybody don't get along. I think they try to present this thing like everybody's friends, everybody likes each other. The NBA is one big family. Okay, you be one big family, but do you like all your cousins?
No, and I happen to beat all my cousins up.
So let's show some of that. Let's just show that hey, everybody ain't got to get along. They can knock it up every once in a while. You can know that Donovan Mitchell don't like Dylan Brooks. They ain't liked each other for years. They ain't going out for no coffee after that. You can tell that from Donovan. You can tell that from Donovan Mitchell's response.
And that's what I loved about it. It's like you're not just going to, he did a 360, a 360 and a worm hit that man in the nuts. And I'm glad the reaction wasn't to pause, like, well, what just happened? He knew, and the ball,
and then try to roll up his leg too.
Right. I loved every minute of it. I watched it. I was watching it live. I was like, oh, I hope he throws a punch. That was my thing. When he threw the ball, I was like, punch you next. Because certain stuff just can't be tolerated. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that I did that because I believe that's going to set off a more chain reaction as it gets going that is going to, let players know, like, this ain't the type of stuff I'm going for nowadays. So I think this might be a big swing as to, players, getting more rough or getting more physical with each other and not taking it. And instead of like, okay, I'm going to let it go because I want to hurt my team. But at a certain point, you got to be like, look, I'm still a man. And you're just not going to go all, nutcracker me and all that good stuff. It's just not going to. I'm glad Donovan did it, and I hope it sets off a chain reaction. Like this type of stuff, this type of physical play is not necessary, especially when he rolled almost 2 feet to get to the man before he pushed him in the nuts. When I looked at it, it's like he was damn near at the baseline. Like, how you roll that far, looked up, and still throw your elbow in that man's nuts like that? That was a bad play. I'm glad Donovan did it.
So I'll switch gears real quick here. So we're talking about the All-Star game. So who do you guys think? Who's your early favorite to be the All-Star game MVP?
Joel Embiid.
Okay. I want to say the same thing. Next question.
Okay, I'll tell you why, Joel.
You sure can.
I think that Joel Embiid is going to go in there like a man possessed. He's going to end up starting because KD won't play in it because he's hurt. I think that Joel will come in like a man possessed. And I think that he will go prove a point why he's the MVP of the league. And a motivated Joel Embiid does exactly what he did last Sunday versus Denver. He goes out there and proves points that he's the most dominant player in the NBA. He's the modern day Shaq.
All right. So I'm going to actually go with LeBron. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to go with LeBron. Perfect story. You win the scoring title, all-time scoring title. Then you turn around, you're MVP of the All-Star game. Don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, so this may be the highlight of his season. right? This little stretch he's on right now. So I think that he's going to win due to that. So that's my pick. I know you guys both picked Embiid. Marcus, did you have any insight you wanted to add on top of what Gene said as to why you picked Embiid?
My Sixers bias.
Okay, that's fair. I asked the question. Fair enough. All right, now the next thing I want to talk about with you guys is the Rising Stars Challenge.
Now, forgive me for I don't know none of these players in the Rising Star Challenge.
You don't know any of them?
No, I think there's some. I think the rookie from Orlando and the other guy. That's all I know.
Well, you can pick him, and that would not be a bad pick right away. Paolo Banchero is one of the best rookies you've seen. He's running away with the rookie of the year this year. I don't think it's close. I think what he's doing, and he's proving to everybody why he was the best player in this last NBA draft. Jaden Ivey's another one to look at. I think Jaden Ivey is a stud. But one I'll give you that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, and I think he'll do great in a Rising Stars Challenge, is Benedict Mathurin. I think that guy is like instant offense. He's like oatmeal, man. You just heat him up, he's gone. So I'll go with Benedict Mathurin as like a little bit of a.
Okay. So what I'll do for those who may not have this information, because obviously, like you said, everybody may not, really be paying attention to the Jordan Rising Stars Challenge. So for the freshmen, the rookies, we have Paolo Banchero from Orlando, Jalen Duren from Detroit, AJ Griffin from the Hawks, Jaden Ivey from the Pistons, Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz, Benedict Mathurin from the Indiana Pacers, Keegan Murray from the Sacramento Kings, Andrew Nembhard from the Indiana Pacers, Jabari Smith from Houston Rockets, Jeremy Sochan from San Antonio, and Jalen Williams from Oklahoma City Thunder. That's the rookie pool.
Yep.
All right, then we have the sophomore pool: Jose Alvarado from the New Orleans Pelicans, Scotty Barnes from the Toronto Raptors, Josh Giddey from the Oklahoma City Thunder, Jalen Green from the Houston Rockets, Quentin Grimes from the Knicks, Bones Highland from Denver, Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers, Trey Murphy III from New Orleans Pelicans, Alperen Sengun from the Houston Rockets, and Franz Wagner from the Orlando Magic. And then, of course, we have the G League participants: City Cisco from the Ignite, Mojave King from the Ignite, Scott Henderson from the Ignite, Kenneth Lofton Jr. from the Memphis Hustle, Mac McClung from the Delaware Bluecoats, Leonard Miller from the Ignite, and then Scottie Pippen Jr. from the South Bay Lakers.
And Scoot!
Is it like a draft thing for the G League player?
Say what?
Is this supposed to be like a draft thing? Is this supposed to be like a draft thing for the G League players? They go.
Yeah. Basically, they do a mini tournament. It's 4 teams of 7 players each. Mm-hmm. And then they pick the teams just like they do for the other ones. And then they play not like a tournament, a round robin type tournament thing to determine who's going to be the winner.
Scoot.
All right. And for the draft, the legends that will be the coaches in drafting their teams is Paul Gasol, Joakim Noah, Darren Williams, and Jason Terry. So each coach will pick their team, and then those teams will play. The 2 teams will play each other, and then the winners of those 2 teams will play for who's going to be the champion.
I think I like that whole idea right there.
Fun.
I love it.
They did it last year too. I like the concept that they do behind it because I think it brings something different, right? You get the 4 teams. You're guaranteed at least 1 game. If you can win that game, you're guaranteed a second one. If I remember the rules from last year, because they don't have the rules up yet because it's a little early. But I remember, I think the games go to, I think it was like 15, and you got to win by 2. So it's kind of like, playground style a little bit. It's not as structured as the All-Star game is. It's more like, hey, we're just giving everybody a chance to shine. You put out there, you ball, do your thing.
I missed the celebrity. Now, are they taking away the celebrity game?
No, this is just separate. This is instead of having the rookies versus the sophomores as they did in the past, they changed it to the Rising Stars game. So this doesn't take the place of the celebrity game. Gene, you got something to say?
Jalen Green's a very good, also a good one for MVP to Rising Stars Challenge. I think he's a little bit of a fish out of water. I think he's the best overall player. That's as far as where he's progressed in his career. So I think Jalen Green's another one to look out for. I would go Jalen Green, Benedict Mathurin, and Paulo Banchero. Just sprinkle a little on all three.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky. I think Scotty Barnes is definitely a sleeper. And I'm actually going to be throw a little homer in here. If he can get hot, Bones Highland can light it up. So I think, I'd love to see what Scottie Pippen Jr. has learned and digested, going back between the South Bay Lakers and the Lakers, because, you see him on the sidelines. Sometimes he's got the two-way contract. So I'd love to see if what he's been learning, what he's been soaking in there with the Lakers, you see him close to LeBron when he's there, some of the other better players. So I'm curious to see how he comes out in this game where you're playing against other guys that are probably more your skill level. See how he plays. I don't think he'll be an MVP or anything, but just, interested to see how he plays.
Agreed.
All right, gentlemen. So we will move on to our next topic, which is going to be who is your most improved player so far this season?
SGA. Not even close.
Not even close.
It's not even close. SGA.
Hey. I have nothing else to say.
SGA is just so good.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, not even close.
Laurie Markkinen will be second if you want to give somebody else credit.
Yeah, if you want to give somebody else
credit. Took a huge jump.
Yeah, but you can't bet against SGA the way he's done. It would be one of those situations where that would be 1 and 2, but I feel like just the jump of SGA and he's just been playing ridiculous. You got to give him a lot of props for what he's done, and I love to see the improvement from him. I love to see the improvement from Markkinen and all the other guys who are improving because it just shows the progression. It shows how hungry they are. It shows that they want to be, the best version of themselves that they can be year to year, and hopefully it continues to, increase for those guys. All right, and no more comments there. So from the point that we're in the season now until the end of the regular season, I want y'all to give me one Eastern Conference and one Western Conference team to watch out for. And what I mean by that is a team that's below the top 6 in either conference. Just one team from each one that you feel we should be watching out for to make a move the last half of the season.
Well, the easiest one, you're getting too easy for me. Golden State Warriors are the 8th seed in the West. They're the easiest team. They're the defending champions. They're going to get everyone healthy. That will be the team to look out for in the West. Now, if I need to pick not a top 6 team in the East, that's tough because the East is very top heavy. Dude, I promise you this, right? And I'll make you whatever bet you want to make. I'll give you any odds you want. You can take 7 through whatever in the Eastern Conference, and not one of them will make the conference finals, let alone the NBA finals. There's nobody to look out for. But the best team out of the bottom teams in the East is the New York Knicks. They've been playing revitalized basketball. Jalen Brunson's been a hell of a gift to that team. Julius Randle continues to progress. So I would go Knicks and Golden State Warriors there. But, well, like I said, in the East, it's very top heavy. There's only 6 teams to really look out for total. But in the West, there's tons. Like not in the top 6, Golden State, New Orleans, and LA. LA is, if they make a trade for Kyrie Irving or anything like that happens, they could be right there. New Orleans, if they get everyone healthy, their talent on that roster is unbelievable. But the biggest one that stands out is the Golden State Warriors.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Orlando and LA, the Lakers. I'm not saying that Orlando is going to beat, or get into the, I think they can make the play-in tournament. They can scare whoever they play in that play-in tournament. I'm sorry, I watch enough Orlando games to know here, and whoever they play, they got a chance to, knock them out and actually make it first round of the playoffs. Now, would they see that? No, you got to go with the Lakers, whether they trade for Kyrie or not. They chance to knock some people out of the playoffs. Everybody stays healthy.
Okay. I like those. I'm going to go in the East with the Atlanta Hawks. I think at some point they're going to pull enough of this together to win a play-in game, get to the playoffs, and at least make some noise in the first round. Past that, it depends on if fourth quarter Trey ever gets back to being the fourth quarter Trey that we've seen in the past. He hasn't been that so far. But I'm thinking that before we get to the end of the season, that Atlanta Hawks team is going to slide their way up to 7-6, maybe even, depending on how the other teams perform. Maybe they're able to make a move and get another piece they can use with Collins if they're willing to lower the price and be more realistic in what you're going to get back. But I think that they're a team to watch for out of the Eastern Conference. Now, when we go out west, Jane did steal mine, but I'm still going to say it anyway, and that is going to be the New Orleans Pelicans. I feel like the New Orleans Pelicans, like you said, when they were healthy, that was not even with everybody, but with enough. But we're going to have a late edition, gentlemen.
What's good, y'all? How y'all doing?
What's going on, Coach Dante? We was
What's
just
up, man?
Talking about our for the East and the West. I don't know if you saw, we were just talking about a team that we think can make some noise that's outside of the top 6 in the East and the West.
All right. On the East, it's gonna be a little surprising. I'm gonna go with the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. I really think if they can get the right matchup, I'm not saying they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think it can really give a first round team a matchup. Somewhat of a problem with Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, who can score and also have the potential to be a playmaker. And Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley being able to stretch the basketball outside, and Jared Allen being able to dominate on the glass. I think that can be a really scary first round team for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'm gonna take the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference.
All right, you taking anybody out west?
It's tough out west, but I'm still gonna go with Dallas in the first round. For us in the first round. I'm not gonna say Western Conference Finals probably the second round. I'm gonna go with Dallas in the first round. I think they need to make a move. I just think they need to make a move at the trade deadline to help Luka out. I just think they need to make a move. But I'm gonna go with Dallas.
All right. So do you have anybody outside of the top 6, East and West, that you think can make some noise and win through the play-in tournament and get into that, maybe even into the top 6 in either the Eastern or the Western Conference? Do you have a team that you think could do that?
For the Eastern Conference, I'm gonna have to go. For the Eastern Conference outside of it. I kind of want to take Chicago. Okay. I kind of want to take Chicago to slip up and down for a little bit. If Zach LaVine can stay healthy, and I think that's another team that needs to consider making a move. I don't think Chicago will be getting out of the first round. I don't think they'll be getting out of the first round, but I think that's a team that can also slip up in the top 6 when their 2 best players are healthy. And New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson got to be healthy as well. Zion Williamson got to be healthy. I think that's key for New Orleans. If he can get healthy, I think they can make a fight to get up probably in that top 6.
Fair enough. Now, we talked earlier, so just wanted to give you an opportunity to express your thoughts. I'll just put it as Gene's question was. Do you think Kyrie Irving gets traded? And if so, who do you think he gets traded to?
I know he wants to go to the Lakers. I know that's what he wants to go to. I don't know. I would say Dallas will be something good for him because him and Luka, they'll allow Luka to rest a little bit and give them a secondary ball handler and someone that can score, someone that can also score while Luka is sitting out. You can have him playing also with the second unit. So I think Dallas can be very intriguing for Kyrie. I think he can be very intriguing for Kyrie Irving. So I'm gonna actually pick Dallas, but I know he wants to go to the Los Angeles Lakers. I know that's where he wants to end up.
Okay. Now, Gene, weekly, we always have the Gene question or questions of the week. So I know you have one. So here is your platform, sir. Hit us with it.
No, I don't. I think the questions that you guys had this week were incredible. I asked the question earlier of is it what team and if Kyrie gets traded. I think that's a big part of it. And then Marcus's question earlier, or Freddie's question earlier about the fights, I thought was incredible. I think that's fun to talk about, fun to watch in the NBA. I think that old school rivalry and people hating each other. I wanted to make a comment on that. We all got out of whack, but
I bet it.
The most talked about clip off the Netflix documentary with the Redeem team with Kobe, LeBron, D Wade was Kobe being like, I know what they're running the first play of the game, and I'm gonna run through Powell. Look, at the end of the day, being able to watch that and see how much of a fierce competitor he was, and it didn't matter if you were friends or not. When you hopped in between those lines, it was time to compete. So I love that. So I wanted to add that comment because that's what we love about the game of basketball. People that want to win as bad as we want our teams to win. We hate watching teams lose and then be all buddy about losing.
Right.
Like we care about it more than they do. That sucks. Mm-hmm. But if I had to give you guys a question this week, and I'll think one up quick, but if I had to give you guys a question this week, we talked about comeback player of the year. We talked about MVP at length multiple times this year. I want to ask you a question, and I think that this is super fun to talk about. Who do you think is the most overrated player in the NBA? Because we talk about underrated constantly, but who do you think the most overrated player is? Now, it could be a good player that is considered elite. It could be an elite player that's considered, whatever. But who is the most overrated player currently in today's NBA?
Joel Embiid.
What?
Plain and simple. Like, for me, I think he's overrated because we're not talking about him in a sense as we would talk about Jokic still. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, it's still as if, like, I don't know if it's playing in Philadelphia that as fans we get a bad name that doesn't give Joel.
Do you mean underrated, Marcus?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Or
he was asking who's the most overrated.
I'm saying who's the most overrated player in the NBA.
I overheard you. My bad.
No, it's cool. I'm with you on underrated. That's why I said what. The guy's not even starting in the friggin' All-Star game. He's second in MVP for the year. That makes no goddamn sense. But most overrated player in the league. Now, like the most popular answer you're going to get on most platforms is someone like Zion Williamson, who's starting in an NBA All-Star game when the guy hasn't played 50 games in his an NBA season his entire career. I think he's super talented, but I'd be interested to see if you give me somebody besides Zion.
That's overrated.
Overrated.
Yeah, overrated.
Whew. I know it's not going to be, things, but I think Luka's overrated on shot.
That's fair.
And I think they're giving him too much credit for what James Harden has already accomplished. Basically, you're a solo act on your own team, and James Harden's been putting up the numbers, if not more, than you already have. So I think they overrating Luka. And I'm not gonna lie. I don't think Steph Curry is overrated. In the sense what he did last year, I'm not gonna take away from it. He did that thing. But as far as I still see him and Clay as 1A, 1A, and 1A as top shooters in the league because I seen Clay give me 32 and a quarter.
Bro, stop with the Luka. Just stop with the Luka, bro. Stop.
No,
and if you want to say Steph's overrated, that's fine. But to argue Steph and Clay are still the same goddamn player, you're out of your fucking mind. Are you watching them play basketball?
Giving you overrated, like because I seen Steph and Clay. I seen Clay do done, then some. We'll never talk as Clay as the greatest shooter in the NBA because he's playing it. But I seen Clay drop 32 and a quarter. Yet to see Steph Curry drop 32 and a quarter. And matter of fact, I have yet to see Steph Curry much more without Clay. So it's like I can kind of say he's overrated, but if you want to say he's the greatest shooter ever, go for it. But without Clay, they were a top pick in the draft. Without Clay, why Steph was playing before he got hurt. You take that how you want to, but you said overrated. To me, that's overrated. But you take it how you want to take it. But to me, I still think Steph might be a little overrated in Golden State. However you want to take it.
Just for your 2 cents, just because I felt petty today, right? Just because I felt petty. I pulled up the 2022 NBA stats. Now, Klay Thompson, this is just cumulative points, right? So Steph Curry had more field goals made by 60, more field goals attempted by 14, had a 49.3% field goal percentage, Klay 41. He had 183 three-pointers, Klay 162. He had a 42.9% three-point percentage, Klay 39. He had double the free throws made. He had a 92% free throw percentage versus 90%. He had more rebounds than Klay. He had more assists than Klay. He had less turnovers than Klay. He had more steals than Klay. He had the same amount of blocks. And guess what? He played 40 less minutes. Stop saying that silly shit like they're 1 and 1A. They're not. Steph Curry compared to Klay Thompson is a steak at the goddamn diner versus
exactly. Big discrepancy between the ball. I ain't never seen Steph guard the best player on the opposite team. So therefore, your argument is shoving right up your booty hole, however you want to put it, because I seen Klay guard the best players and still give the same amount of shots of production that Steph's giving you. So however you want to take, you said overrated. I gave you overrated.
I get it, but I'm fine with you saying Steph's overrated.
I never seen Steph guard the best player.
Saying him and Klay are the same player, you're crazy.
So I never seen Steph
player. You could say Steph's overrated. Just don't add Klay Thompson points.
And still give you the same production that Steph's giving you. I haven't seen Steph do that. I've seen Klay guard the best players and still drop 32 and a quarter on less dribbles attempts than Steph would ever give you. So take that how you want to take it. Like I said, on Golden State, overrated to me.
Okay.
Move on.
Coach Dante?
I'm going to go Karl Anthony Towns. I'm going to say he's a little bit of overrated because, again, Karl Anthony Towns showed you time and time again he don't step up when it matters the most. You look at all through his career, he couldn't make the playoffs into what Jimmy Butler was pissed off in Chicago, and immediately Jimmy Butler came in, was the leader of the team already. He questioned Karl Anthony Towns' ability, work ethic ability, and Andrew Wiggins. They both didn't know how to handle it. And when Jimmy Butler decided to go down, the team fell all the way to the 8th seed, and Jimmy Butler at the end of the season, when he got back, he had to carry them into the playoffs against go up against my Houston Rockets. You know what he decided to do against Clint Capella? Decided to get outplayed by Clint Capella. Then Jimmy Butler gets traded to Philadelphia. We all know how that panned out. They don't make the playoffs to another couple of years. Guess who came to say today again? Anthony Edwards, a young Anthony Edwards in his second year. Patrick Beverley was an impact on the team. And Jared Vanderbilt was an impact on that roster as well. And again, they made the playoffs. Again, he got outplayed again. And Anthony Edwards had a great playoff appearance, had a great first-year playoff performance. So both times Karl Anthony Towns wasn't even the best player on his team. He wasn't even the best player on his team both of those playoff stretches, and he couldn't make the playoffs without a main main co-star. So at the end of the day, Karl Anthony Towns, he's got good numbers. He's a very good player, but to me, he's not that superstar caliber player that I would look at him as. So I would go with Karl Anthony Towns. Is underrated, is overrated.
I completely agree with you, Coach. I think they're a great answer. That's a great answer.
Now, to be fair, were we rating Cat Williams as some top center or a top person in the NBA? I don't think his name's ever been mentioned in the past 5 or even 6 years as somebody you would build a team around. Really overrated?
Say what?
So, has Karl Anthony Towns ever been like where he shouldn't be? I should say. Like, I've never heard his name like being mentioned as big or just somebody you would build a team around. So, is he really overrated or is he where he should be?
Yes, he's overrated because it took a Jimmy Butler. He didn't make the playoffs until Jimmy Butler got there. And then when Jimmy Butler left to go to the 76ers, he missed the playoffs another 2 or 3 years. And it took a young Anthony Edwards, his second year in the league, for them just to make a jump in the playoffs. And he got outplayed both of his playoff appearances. He got outplayed both of them by Clint Capella, someone that's just basically a rim protector and a lob threat. You cannot get outplayed by Clint Capella. And he's supposed to be this superstar that and supposed to be this franchise changer player that the Minnesota Timberwolves expect you to be. But then Anthony Edwards come in, and now he's all of a sudden that franchise player that the Timberwolves built around. So if I'm the Timberwolves, I will be focused on more of giving Anthony Edwards that franchise player more than Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns, did not step up both times when he was even in the playoffs. And without Karl Anthony Towns, without Jimmy Butler, this man don't even have a playoff appearance. He couldn't even lead a team to the playoffs, with him being the main star. So that shows you cannot win with him as the main star, but you can win with Anthony Edwards as a main star.
Big fact.
I think you left off Patrick Beverly, but hey, I'll let you have that.
All right, so for my overrated player, I'm going to go with Chris Paul.
I mean, that's cold, bro. He's 38.
Well, if you let me explain, I'm not just going by him this year, right? We're not just talking about this year. So let's talk about the different phases of Chris Paul's career. Started off in New Orleans. They were the Hornets at the time. For a main part of his career in New Orleans, he had David West as his guy. That's who he gave the ball to. That's who he got a lot of his assists from. He had 2 seasons there. He averaged over 20 points. A couple of seasons there, he averaged under 16. Well, a couple of seasons he averaged 16 or under, and in a couple of seasons he averaged 17, 18. So the trade doesn't happen with the Lakers. He ends up going to the Clippers. Okay.
Now he did have Tyson Chandler when he started out in New Orleans. Well, he had Tyson Chandler. I don't know if it was David West at the beginning. I think it was Tyson Chandler. I might believe.
I actually said for bulk of the time because he was there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 years, and I think at least 4 of those years, which would be a bulk of the time, he had Davis West. The first couple of years, his assists were about 7.8, 8.9. West came 11.6, 11.0, 10.7, 9.8. So he moves to LA to the Clippers. There, we have Lob City. So a lot of guys that fly up, get the ball, a lot of wonderful plays, right? He averaged roughly about 10 assists a game. He had 1 year where he was at 9.2, 9.7, 9.1. But the others, he was at 10.7, 10.2, 10. So I'd say roughly around about 10 assists a game there. That offense was great to look at. Not a lot of defense played. No real significant playoff pushes or anything of that sort, right? Goes to the Rockets for a couple of years. Him and Westbrook are there. He averages 18.6, 15.6, 7.9 assists, 8.2 assists. Some of the lower seasons in his career for assists. The doesn't get anything done as far as he does have the run where he does get hurt, but still doesn't get to the finals. Goes to OKC for the 1 year. I'm actually excluding the year in OKC just for the simple fact that for that year, he really was a mentor for those guys. He wasn't there. There wasn't any way, nothing he could have done to make that team any better than it was. So I'm not really counting that year against him as far as nothing happened. Then went to Phoenix, got close, but yet again, no tomatoes. And the reason why I say that he's overrated is there's a large contingent of people who call this man the point god. Okay. I do not believe that he is that. I believe he is a really good point guard. He played on teams where he was able to get a lot of assists because of players that were around him. Obviously, you still have to have the skill to do that, but I don't believe he's a point guard god. I believe he's a really good point guard. He's had a solid career. He's another guy that's played a long time, has a lot of longevity. He stopped eating meat. He does a lot of things that I like outside of the court, but I think that he is overrated by the large contingent who believe he is the greatest point guard of all time.
Well, he's not the greatest point guard of all time. I don't think anybody says that, but I have him top 5.
A lot of people that say point guard, he is the greatest point guard of all time. There's a lot of people that say that, sir.
Well, point guard's just his nickname.
No, they say he's the greatest point guard of all time. That's why they call him point guard. God, that's what they say specifically.
Okay. I disagree, but that's okay. I don't think he's the greatest point guard of all time, but I don't think he's overrated. I'm going to read you a trade real quick because I had this one lined up and I was hoping one of y'all would take it. 2029 first round pick, 2027 first round pick, 2025 first round pick, 2023 first round pick, 2022 first round pick that was drafted, 4 players, and a 2026 pick swap. Anybody want to tell me who that trade was for? It was for 1 player.
I sure can tell you who it was for, sir.
That's the most overrated player in the NBA.
And I didn't take him because I knew you were.
That's the most overrated player in the NBA. That's the French fry.
Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert. Yep.
He was traded for 5 first-round picks, a pick swap, and 4 players. If you read that trade out to me for Kevin Durant, I'd be like, that's a little much. They gave that for Rudy Gobert. All right, that's overrated.
Hey, that is. I definitely agree with you. That's 1,000,000% agree with you.
That's overkill. I agree though.
How I don't know how that conversation happened between Danny Ainge and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, I don't know how that
I can tell you how that conversation happened, sir. Danny Ainge sent a text over of some pictures he had and said, yeah, if you don't want these to get out, this is what you're going to have to give us to get Rudy Gobert.
Shit's wild.
That's my thoughts.
Danny Ainge did it again. He did it again. He did it in Boston. He come to Utah and do it.
Yeah, that has to be the most overrated. Yeah, you're right.
And then Daniel Dibson says Cat is soft, plus his contract. I can't disagree with that either.
Yo, Rudy Gobert is so overrated. Now, if you want to talk about the most overrated player in NBA history, I don't mind. I've said this multiple times. You have the 2-time scam artist MVP. And no, I'm not talking about Nikola Jokic. Before I see Cool Ray getting upset.
No, I know who you're talking about.
Steve Nash is the most overrated player I've ever seen in my entire life. He stole 2 MVP awards from Kobe Bryant. Stole them. Like, absolutely stole them with pedestrian numbers. Steve Nash's numbers that he won MVP with, James Harden didn't even make the friggin' All-Star game with. And that's the truth. Can I read you this real quick? And I hate saying this, right? Because my whole thing is not to bash people, but this is the truth, right? I have his all-time stats right here, including his MVP years. Okay? My man went at 18 points, 11 assists, 16.9 points, 11 assists. That was MVP. James Harden had 21 assists, or 21 points, 11 assists, and didn't make the goddamn All-Star team. And guess what? For someone like James Harden, who don't play a lot of defense, Coach, how much defense James Harden play?
He don't play a lot of defense, but when he put the effort to it, he can do it. He can't play post defense, but he don't play a lot of defense because in Houston he had to do so much on the offensive side of the ball, so he didn't put too much on the effort. But when he decide to play defense, he can play defense. He's a very good post defender. But I can say he played more than Steve Nash did, though.
That's my point.
Yep.
James Harden's not a good defender. James Harden compared to Steve Nash on the defensive end of the court, Steve Nash makes James Harden look like he's Bruce Bowen in his prime defensively. Steve Nash is the worst defender I've ever seen play in the NBA, and if it's not him, it's Trae Young. Those two guys play absolute ghost defense in the NBA. I just don't get it. I don't get it. He's highly considered a top 10 point guard of all time. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a 2-time MVP award winner. 0-time NBA champion, and people consider him a great point guard? No. Steve Nash was a product, and you want to talk about product of players around him? You brought up Chris Paul, right? I'm going to bring up Steve Nash.
Listen.
What does Steve Nash have around him?
Listen.
Steve Nash has Sean Marion, The Matrix. He had Amari Stoudemire, Dirk Nowitzki. You want to talk about a guy that had a ton of talent around him?
You will get no argument from me.
Good.
That Steve Nash is probably the most overrated player of all time. And he was the most overrated coach because he should have never been a coach.
He should have never been a coach.
Steve Nash,
not in that situation. He shouldn't have been a coach.
He should have stayed with soccer.
Steve Nash being a coach for the Brooklyn Nets was like Jeff Saturday being a coach for the Indianapolis Colts.
Ooh.
Underqualified. It's the truth. No coaching experience. Underqualified.
But Jeff Saturday did at least coach high school. Steve Nash,
he couldn't even win in high school. Yeah, he had trouble winning high school.
I'm just saying because at least he had some experience.
Yeah, at least he did.
Steve Nash was doing soccer play-by-play.
He had trouble with it. Saturday had trouble winning in high school.
Guys, if that's not white privilege right in front of you, I don't know what is. And I don't mean it. I'm just saying, when does that happen? I'm waiting for in the NFL or the NBA them just hire a player and just be like, your head coach. Like, fuck coaching experience. Let's just give me an African American player and go, your head coach. That shit don't happen. It's embarrassing. Y'all laughing, but the point is, what happened with Jeff Saturday and Steve Nash is the owner really liked him. The general manager really liked him. I wonder why.
Now we're gonna go by your logic, just by your logic. There, because I believe when Steve Nash won his MVPs, that's why I hate the voting for this stuff. I think he had a better record than Kobe did when he won the second MVP. That's probably why they gave it to him. Same way with Jokic. I'm not hating on Jokic. I just think this season now is more deserving MVP than he won last year or probably prior because they was just in the West. And B, we were, bad fact, for the past 3 years, we've been the top seed East, 1 or 2 at least, and we didn't get it.
I'm gonna say this, Marcus.
But this season, I believe I really believe he's MVP of this league this year.
I'm gonna say
but
this.
Last year, I won it.
I'm gonna say this, Marcus. So the problem was the injuries to the other players around Jokic, which made him more valuable because he had to do a lot more the past 2 years. He might be the leader right now, but I'm going to go on record saying he's not going to win the MVP this year.
Which I think he should, which is funny coming from me.
Yeah. But I don't think he's not going to win it this year because the other guys around are going to take some of the things off. He's not going to be required to do as much this year. He's not going to be required to go out and get a triple-double every game in order for his team to win because he's got other guys back and they made some trades to put a better team around him.
But so he's averaging.
He's averaging good right now, but you got to remember, we're talking about the entire season. As this season progresses, he's going to be able to take a little bit of a step back because other guys are going to be healthy. They're going to be able to play every game. Right now, you've got him playing most games. You got Murray playing like almost every other game. You got other guys playing some games, not playing some games, returning from injury, Porter Jr. as well. So I think he's not going to have to do as much for the entire season. So I think that's going to affect numbers. The record, of course, is going to be better because he's got the other guys back. But I think Embiid is still in the position where he has to be the guy for Philadelphia to get where you want to go. Like, he has to shoulder most of the load. He has to have a lot of games where he dominates the ball in the post. He's pulling up for shots. He's doing what Embiid does to get the points that he needs to, because the team is going to need more from him. So that's why I think we're going to get to the point in this season where Jokic is going to fall down the ladder. He may not even be second this year because, like I said, those other guys are going to start to come on and do what they're doing, and that's going to take a little bit of the load off of him. He's not going to be as valuable, long story short.
I got nothing else to say.
Stay on that one.
Why Daniel up here talking about Doc Rivers? Benash is a great coach, and then Doc Rivers coach of the year.
He's trolling. That's my guy.
Yeah, he's definitely trolling. We know that's trolling happening. But no, that's just what I think. And I mean, I think all these situations are very fluid when you're talking about MVP guys, because it is the most valuable player. Like, everybody can make it whatever they want, all the other hogwash you want to put into it, but it's the best player on one of, if not the best teams. If you have certain situations, I think you make exceptions, but for the most part, it's the best player on the best team. And the load that Embiid's going to have to shoulder this year and probably the next many years to come is going to be Giannis-like, right? You have to have Giannis in order for that team to go. You can go for periods of time without him, but you have to have him. I think with what I've seen from Philadelphia, you take Embiid out for 5-10 games, he gets ugly.
Now, let me go back to your man's point. Now, I'm gonna have to say this, and I know it sounds crazy, even for me saying this, because I'm really not a Doc Rivers fan, but he might be coach of the year, because when Maxey was out for that month or so, Harden was out for that month or so, and Embiid was out for that month, they look pretty good, and it ain't like we were just being on scrub. They look pretty good. His coaching job, like, he was really coaching this team when their three top players was out. And we still the second seed in the East, so I would have to give him some credit for that. Now, if you want to kill me for that, Gene, I get it. I ain't gonna argue with you or come back at you, but I think Doc might be coach of the year right now, just for that.
I'm not gonna kill you, but there's a lot of other guys that deserve it more than Doc this year.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I don't think he's doing a terrible job, and I think when you'll find out what Doc Rivers does as coach, as a good coach or not, well, you'll find that out in the second round of playoffs.
Right, that's true.
That's the most important thing for the 76ers. Being a good regular season coach anymore ain't cutting it. If I had to give the award to anyone this year, it would be either Mike Malone or, forget me, but the guy that took over for Emmett Udoka in Boston.
Yeah, those are two guys that I think definitely deserve a good bit of that. Daniel says Doc stinks. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're now hitting that wonderful 2-hour mark. So, appreciate Freddie for hopping on, Marcus for hopping on, and Coach Dante for hopping on, talking a little bit of sports with us. Gene, any last thoughts from you, sir?
Oh, sir. I'm long Friday, my guy. Worked, did a lot of stuff today. I'm tired. I'm about to hit the hay. We're in the Eastern Standard Time. It's 11 p.m. It's past my old bedtime. I'm gonna watch some basketball and fall asleep.
I know that's right, man. So yeah, same for me, man. Wonderful show. Glad we were able to get on, do it this week. Glad we had some people on, talk some different stuff with us. Very interesting conversations. But hey, that's why we're at the top of the key. I throw that in there, right?
I like it.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, catch us back next week. A lot of wonderful things going on with the Sports Empire Network. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as catch all the shows. I'm not going to take the time to name them all because we don't have that much time left. But we coming. Make sure you're part of it.